You know, I've realized I feel like in the past when I've talked to people about Wi-Fi, I've been very nice. I was like, look, if you play somewhere and for some reason you cannot use an Ethernet cable, either your place doesn't support power line, you can't run a cable around the house, your parents won't let you do it, the landlord, I was like, I understand. I'm still allowed to call your connection shitty if I play against you and it's bad, but, you know, I understand. Some people are in that position. That was my stance before. Wi-Fi players have come swinging. They got no fear in their hearts. They got nothing to lose. They're just like, as they're running at me on Twitter, they're doing their Naruto run, and they're just, their Wi-Fi lagging through my mentions, disappearing and reappearing in their laggy ways, and they're calling that shit ninjutsu. Like, it's out of control. I really don't understand it. So I made a tweet. Chat room, it's 4 words. I tweeted 4 words. I tweeted, that's comma, the point. And this is a translation from an article where Sakurai said, furthermore, I've heard about requests to display whether other player is using Wi-Fi or not, but we can't do that because players could refuse matches with them. So that's the point. That's why people would want a Wi-Fi indicator, so that they could refuse matches with people who have Wi-Fi. And it did numbers. When I say that everybody responded to this tweet, it just keeps going all the way down. There's just more. I pulled up the carpet and there was the Wi-Fi players. For me, you can see the cables in my land. They're right there, right across the ground. They're taped up. I got a house full of dogs. We got the tables all caped up so that we don't have any issues, you know? Now, the interesting thing is, like, I don't think it's a controversial thing to say if you see that someone's on Wi-Fi, you're not going to want to play against them. There was some wild replies to this tweet. There's the usual, my Wi-Fi is real fucking ripped. It's like the my dad could beat up your dad argument, but with Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is incredibly powerful. It eats only plain chicken. It works out 7 days a week, double days on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. My Wi-Fi is the buffest Wi-Fi on the planet. There's those people. There was people saying, you sweat lord man children, serious competitive players, ruin the Smash community. Talking to me. Ruin the Smash community with your serious rules and how much you care about playing on Ethernet. It's your fault the community is shattered. I hate you. I don't even fucking play Smash. I don't even know who they think I'm Coney. I'm so confused. The other one was, think of the children. If you have a Wi-Fi indicator, little Timmy out there, he's going to be on Wi-Fi and he's not going to be able to play against anybody else. And you tell him, well, Wi-Fi players are the majority. He is in the majority. He has most of the player base to want to play with. So he'll be all right. And they're like, no, you hate children. This is why the Smash community is evil. That's what they tell me. I'm not even in the Smash community. I don't even know. You sweat lord man children who take Smash seriously and want to get good at it are the worst thing about this. Think about the kids. What happens when little Timmy wants to get good and he goes to play an Elite Smash and everybody there's on Wired and doesn't want to play him? And I was like, well, it sounds like little Timmy's on his way to becoming a sweat lord man child. So little Timmy should stay in the land of not Elite Smash so that he doesn't become a sweat lord man child like everybody else. Go fuck yourself. I had somebody respond to me like, you know, I'm pretty sure he thought I was Coney. You know, I don't know why you're tweeting about this and casual Smash fans, because if it wasn't for us schmasual cash fans, you wouldn't have a job. He thinks I'm Coney. There's no other way around it, right? He doesn't know that I'm not him. The response that was so great in my mentions, I have in my life never seen a more ratioed tweet in my life, and it was in my own mentions. This is a response to me talking about Wi-Fi players. How did this happen? You make one tweet about the Smash community, and here it goes. We're not even counting the person who quote tweeted me and said, you know what? You Smash players are complaining about Wi-Fi, but when looking at your beard, you're going to be on Catch a Predator. I bet you've done awful shit and you don't care about the community at all. You're the reason the Smash community is bad and has predators in it. And I was like, you know, I'm not in the Smash community, right? And they're like, yeah, well, you're in the FGC, which is worse. I bet you supported Mr. Wizard. And I was like, actually, I backed out of Evo. I was the first commentator to back out of Evo. And they're like, yeah, well, you have no proof. I was like, okay, well, here's the tweet. And then they're like, okay, well, yeah. I mean, like, at some point you realize these people with these accounts, they can just, you don't have to have a degree to sign into Twitter. You don't have that. You can just be any old fucking moron with a keyboard and a pair of shoes. You can make an account on twitter.com and send a tweet to anybody you like. All because they don't want to buy an Ethernet cable. Could you imagine not wanting to buy an Ethernet cable that bad? Anyway, my favorite responses from this Ethernet cable debacle are definitely the people that are like, if there's a Wi-Fi indicator, I'm not going to be able to play other players who are on wired. They're going to decline me. And I don't want to play people who are on Wi-Fi. And somebody, one of you brave souls, replied and was like, why don't you want to play with other Wi-Fi players? They're your people. And he said, because the connection will be worse. The very word that came out of their mouth was, if I have to play with other Wi-Fi users, the connection will be worse. They said, when I play with people who are unwired, my connections are better. You can see it almost start to form in their brain. There's like one cog, like it's stuck. You know what I mean? It's almost firing. They're so close. Anyway, yeah, I can't believe the sheer amount of people who try to defend playing on Wi-Fi is out of control. My stance has been the same, though. If you have to play on Wi-Fi for whatever reason, I get it. You have to play on Wi-Fi. You can't run a cable. Your parents are cable phobic. You can't get a power line adapter. You know, your apartment complex doesn't have, you can't run drill a hole in the wall. You can't run things down the hallway because your Roomba will eat the cables. I don't know, whatever excuse it is. I understand. But that being said, don't argue about your connection is just fine. Just be honest and say, yeah, well, it's not great. I mean, that's just life. You could just be honest, right? It's no problem. But the people trying to lie and be like, my Wi-Fi is really strong. It works out 7 days a week. Wi-Fi is just as good as Ethernet. My speeds are fantastic. Look at my horse. My horse is amazing. People just say these wild things, right? So you're just like, all right, man. Whatever. The amount of personal attacks from Wi-Fi players are out of control, by the way. If you look through these mentions, you should just look through the mentions of this tweet. The amount of people who just like randomly flame me for no reason is like really high. I don't know how to break it to Smash Ultimate players because they've never played any other game in their life. But when you play a video game online, it tells you the connection quality, either of your ping to the server you're playing on, or the connection quality between you and your opponent. It tells you that in every game you play online. Having the connection quality between you and your opponent visible before the match, or being able to search between certain parameters, or knowing if your opponent is on Wi-Fi or not is common. There was a response that said, Nintendo doesn't have to do this because no other fighting game has done this, and you can't prove that otherwise. And then somebody responded was like, yeah, but what about these 6 games that have Wi-Fi indicators? But it gets better, honestly. It gets better because, this is basic quality of life shit. If you want to defend this for a company who, in an instant, makes more money than myself and everybody in the chat room combined, but doesn't give a shit about you or your online experience, that's no problem. You can support them and cape for them all you want. The more important part to me is this. Sakurai didn't say that. Sakurai on Wi-Fi. Recently, Nintendo Everything published a translation on Sakurai's comments on Smash Ultimate and online play. Unfortunately, they mistranslated the statement, leading to confusion amongst many fans. There's a mistranslation. Surely, Sakurai, he said something completely different, and he must have said something that makes more sense. More representative of what Sakurai said. I also hear requests asking to display whether an opponent is using Wi-Fi, but players can't refuse others based on their connection type, so we can't do it. Apparently, this one is also a mistranslation. Well, this one's also fucking stupid, thankfully. So even if it's wrong, it's also fucking stupid. I found out recently that in Smash Ultimate, you can't decline a player once you match up against them. It doesn't matter if there's 9,000 ping between you and your opponent. You cannot decline a match. Apparently, the supposed translation is we don't have a system to accept or decline matches. Like every other fighting game, it pops up. This is the connection quality between you and your opponent. Mortal Kombat says the ping, whether they're wired, whether they're on Wi-Fi or not. You can see that in Skullgirls. You can see that in so many other things. If you make an online game and you don't have the ability to accept a match or not, that's the dumbest thing on the planet. How is that not one of the most basic quality of life features an online game can have? The ability to accept or decline a match with another human? You guys are just shackled? It's like you're handcuffed to a briefcase? In matchmaking, there has to be a way to do this, right? This seems like such a simple thing. Smash Ultimate sold 20 million plus, and Skullgirls was made by Mike Z. Nintendo wins again. You got me there. All right, we can't use Skullgirls as an example, but what about every other game, huh? Fexel just added a Wi-Fi indicator. It's made by 7 people. They code with, I'm sure, a machine from 1983. All right. Anyway, regardless of what the actual translation is, not having the ability to decline a match when you find with somebody is So stupid. It's so basic. Keith says, speaking as a dev, I think we give players too much choice. After you load up the game, you shouldn't even be allowed to stop playing the game or turn it off ever. Every button should send money to us. I just don't get it. I really just don't understand these basic quality of life functions missing from a fighting game and people defending them. Dude, Leffen, when I said frame data shouldn't cost money, so many people were pissed at me. They were like, if it didn't cost money, they couldn't do it. And you're like, what about all the people who've done it without it costing money? Also, this is just basic information. The game comes with no tutorial. The game launched and then sold frame data to you, and you're like, this is fine. The reason the game doesn't have a tutorial is because Harada says people don't play the tutorial, and he compared it to reading the manual of something that you purchase. He said nobody reads a manual. That might be a function situation where he had to make up an excuse, but that is a real bad excuse. Harada's a genius. Don't ask him for shit. Read well. He's so funny. Don't ask me for basic features. You got the 60-second loading screens. I actually can't believe that Tekken 7 doesn't have instant rematch online. Get ready for the next battle. If they say we made rollback, but it doesn't work, is it still rollback? Yes, they're convinced. That's the best part about the Harada rollback tweet is like, you read that tweet, everybody's like, it's got rollback. And then I'm like, all right, but how's playing it online today? And they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, it's really not functioning even close to what people would describe rollback as at all. It's the opposite. But I mean, if you want to call it rollback and just make everybody think rollback is the bad Tekken netcode, sure. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that these basic features are not hard to add to your games. Well, maybe they are hard to add to your games. I'll give them some credit. Maybe they are, but they're important. There's a reason that they exist in so many other fighting games, and when they don't, people ask for them. Listen. When you're making a game, there's tons of difficult things that have to be done, and they accomplish these goals, and they make these games anyway. Just look around. Like, look laterally. Most of the things that fighting games are missing, if you just look around, other games have done them. Even if you look in the past, many games have done them. So, like, I don't know what to tell you.